Now, he may be a rocket science, but it doesn't exactly take a rocket science to find out what's going on with his hair. In this video, we're going to be looking at Elon Musk, the famous entrepreneur, and how his hair has changed over the years. So guys, before we start talking about Elon Musk's hair, if you're worried about your hair loss, simply go down to the description and click the link, and one of our Hairguard specialists is going to give you a full analysis of your hair. All you've got to do is click the link in the description and then upload a selfie. So first, what are you going to learn about in this video today? We're going to look at Elon Musk's hair transformation and how he did it. We're going to compare the past to the present. We're going to look at what kind of hair restoration Elon most probably used. We're going to answer the question of whether or not he was a good candidate for a hair transplant. Then we're going to see how long that procedure would have taken. We're going to ask if he needed it or not. We're going to talk about the costs, and then we're going to answer the question of whether or not his hair will fall out after some time. So Elon Musk is a man of extraordinary accomplishments. He's been in the limelight for over 2 decades, a period during which, along with unprecedented entrepreneurial success, has seen him undergo normal physical transformation just like any other man. But did you know that Mr. Musk once sported a balding head? Well, going by his latest book, you might be forgiven for thinking that the man has always had a full head of hair. And right now, I'm going to share with you how his hair has changed and what were the likely treatments he went through to get the good looking hair that he has today. So if we can see this picture of Elon here, it does look similar to an FUE transplanted hair. And if we look at the past to the present, now a good way to capture Elon Musk's remarkable transformation might be to take you back to the mid-90s when he first became famous for his business success. At the time, it was clear to anyone who cared to look that he was fast losing his hair at the front third of his head. Perhaps the first picture, taken sometime around the unveiling of PayPal, best illustrates the state of his hair back then. His bare front scalp can be seen in the picture below. At the time, he was in his late 20s. Although most of the hair loss was concentrated around his crown, a closer look reveals he was gradually losing hair all over his head. You will notice that his hair was particularly thin above both his ears. In fact, the nature of his hair loss ruled out the possibility of male pattern baldness, which is usually characterized by a receding hairline, while the hair on other parts of the hair remains relatively thicker. It's highly likely that Elon Musk would now be at the Norwood stage 5 or 6 had he not decided to do something about it. So now we're going to answer the question of what kind of restoration Elon used. That Elon Musk did something to his hair is not in doubt. The big question has to do with what exactly it is that he did that brought about thick, frizzy hair after just a couple of years. Like many business magnates in Silicon Valley, he must have had several options owing to pretty deep pockets and worldwide connections. It's important to note that the man himself has never publicly revealed the details of the hair restoration technique or some other cosmetic development that he tapped. This brings us to the analysis of 2 of the most plausible techniques that he might have turned to. What we're going to look at now is some of the hair loss medications. Finasteride and minoxidil are 2 of the most recommended hair loss medications currently in the market. Although it's possible that Elon Musk's remarkable hair restoration has been brought about by the use of such drugs, it's important to point out that they merely stop further hair loss rather than stimulating the growth of new follicles. Besides, they are ridden with side effects such as skin rash, swelling, and even impotence. In addition, Elon Musk would have had to take the meds for an extended period of time. So when it comes to a hair transplant, this is by far the most plausible technique the tech guru must have used. Hair transplants are incredibly advanced and for the most part look much better than old-fashioned hair plugs. So much so that surgical procedures just take a few minutes depending on the extent of hair loss in a patient. Real hair follicles are simply transferred from one section of the scalp to another with the help of very sharp scalpels. So, you're probably wondering, was Elon Musk a good candidate for hair loss and a hair transplant? A good candidate for a hair transplant is someone with a sufficient, stable supply of donor's hair and enough to cover the balding area, as well as any other areas that might lose hair in the future. Individuals past the age of 30 are particularly fit for hair transplant, as their hair loss patterns are usually well established compared to younger patients. Mr. Musk definitely had lots of donor's hairs at the back of his head, going by his pre-restoration pictures. He had lost a significant amount of hair at the front of his head as well as around his temples. So it's got to be a hair transplant. Now, is it FUT or FUE? Elon Musk may be being quiet about his hair, but all indications point towards a hair transplant. In fact, qualified surgeons like Dr. Yates, based in Chicago, contend that Elon Musk most likely went under the scalpel. So FUT, or follicular unit transplantation, and FUE, follicular unit extraction, are both credible methods used during hair transplants. While the former involves removing a strip of hair from the back of the head, dissecting it and implanting it into the balding area, the latter involves harvesting of individual hair follicles, which are then directly implanted onto the specified area. FUT leaves behind a linear scar at the donor site, which has to be tended to for a period of time after surgery. However, FUE leaves little or no scarring. And besides, there is minimal downtime. And that's why our money is on a follicular unit extraction with respect to Elon Musk's hair. So, how long did the procedure take? FUE takes place over a number of sessions, with each session taking 3 to 4 hours. Spreading the transplantation over several sessions would allow for the visibility of the hair transplant to be concealed. This in part explains why no one seems to have noticed any sign of a transplant in the case of Elon Musk, despite the SpaceX mastermind being heavily involved in public events throughout the last couple of years. So, did Elon Musk need it? Need might be too strong a word in the context of Elon Musk's hairline restoration. Although hair transplants among celebrities are usually controversial, most of them are driven by human hair's incredible aesthetic power. In fact, a study featured in the National Library of Medicine confirms this. Elon Musk's hair possibly didn't need a facelift, but his decision can be well understood in the context of a celebrated personality determined to put his best image forward. So you're probably also wondering, how much did it cost? As a billionaire, Elon Musk definitely had enough resources to put paid to his hair loss. In a diverse hair transplant market with hundreds of clinics and surgeons offering hair restoration services, it might be difficult to quote the exact amount of money Mr. Musk dished out. However, the average cost of hair transplant surgeries is around $10,000. That figure may be lower or higher depending on the number of grafts an individual needs. It may be safe to assume that Elon Musk paid more than that. In part because he's a celebrity, he must have sought the services of only the best hair surgeons in the world. That would have enabled him to keep the entire foray discreet, away from scrutiny by the media and paparazzi. You're also probably wondering, will his hair fall out after some time? It might be important to note that a hair transplant is not a ticket to perpetually thick, voluminous hair. The procedure helps to restore hair that's already lost, but it cannot shield an individual from future baldness. In addition, the harvested grafts must be strong and healthy. Otherwise, they may die soon after implantation, rendering the entire procedure ineffective, and that definitely applies to Elon Musk. However, hair transplants are incredibly durable, more so when the procedure is carried out by a qualified and experienced physician. Provided the tech guru went out for the very best, you should not expect to notice a low hairline on his head anytime soon. Elon Musk's decision to go for a hair transplant may be debatable, but one thing stands out: he is proof that balding men can have the hair of their youthful days restored. His incredible transformation confirms that it's possible to create an astonishing natural appearance thanks to advancements in medical expertise and technology. So guys, there you have it. That's our video on Elon Musk's hair. If you're worried about your hair loss, don't forget to click the link in the description where you can get an analysis of your own hair. And also, if you've not already subscribed, please make sure to hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.